Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. My name is Marilyn Shannon, and this is the Breaking Free Show. I'm so happy you're all here to join us today. It's the highlight of my week, and it's an honor that you're all here today. So I just want to let you know a couple of little housekeeping rules. You can call in anytime you want. They're not really rules. They're kind of like invitations. And you can also join us in our chat. Just put your name, nickname, whatever you like under our video, and you can comment. You can ask questions from there as well. And you can call into the studio, whatever you want. Please feel free to do that. If somebody says something and you've got something to add, please call in. If you've got a comment, if you have a question, an experience that you want to share, we'd love to hear from you. So please call in at 919-518-9773. So with that, I'm going to say hi to Amnon. Hey,
Hello,
Amnon.
Hi, Marilyn. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Fine. Is it chilly enough for you?
Yeah. Well, it's beautiful out, actually.
Oh,
Isn't it nice? Isn't it nice in downtown Raleigh where you are?
it is cold.
It's cold. It's a little chilly. It's
It's 52. It's cold.
I kind of lost I lost a few parts of seasons since I was in Florida for so long, and I came back in July, the end of July. So I kind of was there from March to the end of July. So I'm like, what happened to spring?
Well, go back and bring it with you here.
I don't know about that, but I got everybody here. So anyway, all right. So let's get on with the show. So each week we have the pleasure of bringing in the most extraordinary people to our show with stories, techniques, tools, strategies, a personal story, something that when they share it with us changes our lives. And it's incredible. So today I have the pleasure of introducing Chasta Hamilton to you. She is the artistic director and owner of Stage Door Dance. And I've had the pleasure of meeting her face to face. She spoke at an event once and I was like blown away. Chasta, how are you?
Hello, Marilyn. I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me on. Likewise, I find you to be such an inspiring person. And I feel like our Women's Power Networking event that we had in February was one of the last normal things maybe that I did in 2020. But it's great to be back today, even, in the virtual format. It's so nice that we can still stay connected and hear what everyone's doing. And I'm just really excited to be here today. So thank you.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you. We can't stop, regardless of the form, whether it's face-to-face, whether it's in a parking lot, because I know that you're doing that, no matter where it is. Zoom. I mean, I know we have a family who's coming, who we just lost, I think, who's in New York. So here they come. So no matter where we are, we can still connect. And so I'm glad to be able to do that.
And that connection is so important. And I have a fun little story to start today with. When I was at Women's Power Networking and I was speaking to the women at the end of the session, a lady came up to me and she said, "Your story reminds me so much of Esther." And, my biblical was a little dusty. So this didn't hit me until maybe early May when I finally paused from the adrenaline of March and April. And I was like, I should go back and read about Esther. So I did. And it was just incredibly serendipitous that she made this parallel because Esther was given, the opportunity to kind of lead her people. And that is truly what we have been doing as we've navigated this pandemic and looked out for each other and cared for each other. So I just thought that was incredibly timely, and it has really stayed with me and motivated me through the last several months. So I'm grateful to you for kind of establishing and creating that connection.
You're very, very welcome. And I've just gotten the chills because my Hebrew name is Miriam Esther.
Isn't that amazing?
So we're going to have to talk about that. And of course, we have two Jamies on here. My daughter's birthday is today, and she's a Jamie. So, this is just a love fest going on.
Hey, the world needs more of it. All the love.
Really. So first of all, why don't you tell us who everybody is, and then we're going to get into some story here.
Yes. So I was super excited to be able to invite some people that have been very essential to the development of Stage Door Dance Productions and the evolution of our programming. that has kind of, moved over the years and has really moved over the past 6 months. So the irony is that both of our guests are named Jamie. So I will be a little more specific as I introduce each one. But first off, will be the Coombs family. We have Jamie Coombs and Wll Coombs here with us.
Hold on.
Hi.
You're kind of like upside down or something. You might want to. There you go. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry about that. Our Wi-Fi went down like a minute ago, so we had to switch over to our phone. So
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's
Here
fine.
we are.
Perfect. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No worries. I'm so happy you all were able to make it back. So Jamie we met in 2009. The studio had just opened, and her little boy, Will, was slightly under 2 years old and was enrolled at the preschool next door. So she came down to see if he could join us for dance lessons. And quickly after he started dance lessons, she decided that she wanted to start doing private lessons. So we started, and she became my best friend, and Will has stayed with us all the way through. They live in New York City now because he has performed in 3 Broadway shows in the last couple of years, which we'll talk about, but they certainly make their way back frequently. And we were able to take the studio up to see him in one of his shows as well, which was a really great moment. And then we also have the Allen family. So we have Jamie Allen and Hannah Allen, 2 of the 5 of their family that are Stage Door Dance affiliates. And they came to the studio in 2012 from Texas and have really been this integral piece of a lot of the changes that we've made over the years. They did comp team. They stepped out of the competition team, which is what my new book is kind of all based around. Jamie Allen was a huge proponent of creating our nonprofit affiliate, Girls Geared for Greatness. And they have also participated in theater. So it's, one of the great things about the studio is we have clients, but clients become so much more. They become part of the brand and the mission, and they become dear friends. So I think that is one of the really special things about Stage Door Dance.
So I have lots of questions, but before we get started, you know what? I would love Jamie Coombs to just, I did a little intro about Chasta, but you are, good friends. Why don't you give a little shout out to who she is?
Well, Chasta is just like an incredible person. Probably what strikes me the most about Chasta, aside from being like such a great friend to me, is how much of a mentor she is to children and girls and boys, everyone that comes in her path. I can't say strongly enough how encouraging she is, how she somehow has this ability to see the very best in everyone and encourage them to like rise to whatever that is within themselves. So many people don't have that, or they just don't know how to connect, but somehow she has this ability to connect with people, all different people from all different walks of life, and help them to become the very best they can be. She's just, she holds herself to such a high standard that she just really, really seems to bring the best out in young people. And that's what I love about her the most. Like Will, every time Will's around her, he's best Will, even though we're like such good friends. Like, it's like he's always the very best he can be because he wants to be, because she just somehow manages to bring that out in him. And I notice it in everyone she deals with. So she's a really great leader and very inspirational. So.
Well, thank you for that, Jamie. And then Jamie Allen, what about you? Do you have something to add to that quick?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Chasta has become just an important role model for our entire family. I think she is a fierce businesswoman. She really has worked to grow her brand, but it's built on her values and the values that she shows to all of the people that are involved. But besides just being a very diligent businesswoman, she also, as Jamie already mentioned, she cares deeply for the people she works with. So, and she does that, she radiates such positivity. And so even in a climate like we're in right now, where things are very challenging and difficult, Chasta is working to help her team and herself and all of the people that participate in the activities help us move forward. And just like you said, we can't stop moving. We've got to do it. And it may be one step at a time, but it's still movement.
Thank you for that, and welcome everyone. And I'm especially grateful that Will and Hannah are here. So thank you both for being here, because this is a big deal. So first, there's so much to talk about. I mean, and as you said, this is a trying time, and there's something about creative energy that just keeps us connected to our life force. And I think it's really very important that we continue to do that on whatever level we can. So I wanted first to start with Girls Geared for Greatness, and what that is about, and why is a dance studio doing anything like that? And like, what is it and why?
So Girls Geared for Greatness, it transpired right after we exited the competitive dance industry, which was around 2015 to 2016. And at the time, Jamie Allen approached me in the hallway. I still remember it. It was right in front of the bathroom. And she said, I really think you would be good at offering leadership programs for girls. And I said, thank you. I'm flattered. But the docket of things to do was just too intense at that time, because we were rebranding, we were reinventing, and I needed to give it some breathing space. So in 2018, I was speaking at a convention in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I was standing in front of this ballroom of hundreds of people. And I just said, and this September, we're launching a new program called Girls Geared for Greatness. And I walked out of the ballroom and I started calling the staff. And I said, I've just announced to hundreds of people that we're starting this in 2 months. So let's get it together. And we did. And we had our first event that October. In that first year alone, we served 200 girls in the local Raleigh community, dancers and non-dancers. And the things that we discuss are the things that the performing arts teach us, but we take it sort of up a level. So we talk about leadership, we talk about perseverance, we talk about entrepreneurship, how we can be leaders in the arts. It's executive functioning conversations, and they're amazing. And the girls are so ready to absorb the information. Because of the growth we saw that first year, we evolved into our own 501c3, which Jamie Allen is on the advisory board for that. And, due to COVID, Girls Geared for Greatness has kind of had to take a little bit of a pause and pivot as well. But we did just finish our first summer digital series. We had 3 different components: dynamic differences for elementary students, post-pandemic power for middle school students, and level up and lead for high school students, as well as a digital digest component that was centered around the Black Lives Matter movement. So it's all of these great conversations, and we're kind of at a baseline right now of where we can take this organization, and I'm really excited to see where it goes.
So your dream is to take it nationally, globally, what?
Yeah. So, I've tried to get comfortable and sort of resting in my dreams right now, because dreams aren't moving as fast as they sometimes do in the current climate. But in a few decades, I don't see any reason as to why Girls Geared for Greatness can't be its own iteration of a modern form of the Girl Scouts, for example. It's not just for dancers, it's for all girls. And, one of the things that kind of propelled me into going for this and starting it was there was so much conversation surrounding the Me Too movement around 2017 and 2018. And, we work with youth. So how can we prepare youth so that we don't have to have, so that we can give them, intrinsic ability to take initiative, to lead, to speak up, to be confident advocates for themselves. And that's kind of where the program originated and developed.
It's fabulous. I mean, we all need and require, to open up that parts of ourselves. I mean, I know it's in everybody. And sometimes you just need somebody to kind of knock on the door and say, come on out. It's okay. You can lead. You have to understand what leadership is, right? Leadership is not controlling. It's not that's not leadership. Leadership is, I have a saying about leadership, leaders are only leaders when they lead. You cannot be a leader if you're not leading other leaders. That's just the way it goes. If you're swimming in a pool of leaders, you're a leader. And we can do that. So, Hannah, were you part of this group?
I was part of the Girls Geared for Greatness group, yes.
Can you tell us about it?
Well, I went to the first Girls Geared for Greatness event, and I brought one of my friends with me that was not from the dance studio, and it was really amazing. It was a good way. Good way to kind of come together as a group to just kind of support each other. And I think it was a really good way to, meet other really empowering women. And the way that Chasta brought all those women together was really great.
So you're how old?
I am 12 years old.
12 years old. And when you talk about empowering women, are you talking about yourself?
Yes.
Wow. Wow. Good for you. Now, is that a normal conversation you have about empowering women, including yourself?
Yes.
And when did you start calling yourself a woman?
Sort of when I started kind of getting used to that not everything is easy all the time, and that you have to work through things to really live life as it is. And when I started kind of getting into feeling emotions and really kind of starting to grow up, I started calling myself a woman.
I'm speechless.
I call Hannah our resident advocate. Her advocacy levels are very mature. And I will say that from this program, Girls Geared for Greatness, so many of our students are writing letters to elected officials, taking stands for things that they believe in. And a lot of times that is not encouraged for younger levels or for younger students. It's something that happens in adulthood, and it's just fascinating and so empowering to see them doing that.
So I'm just imagining, Hannah. Tell me if I'm I'd love to be right, but it's okay if you tell me I'm not right, but I think I am in this regard. So the more powerful you feel as a woman, the freer you are on the stage.
Yes, I would say that is true. The more powerful that I feel as a woman, or the more safe I feel as myself with my own mind and my own emotions, helps me really release that into my dancing, and helps me go up on stage and do theater, and just kind of have a freer spirit and really feel like myself up there, but at the same time have those emotions that make me a character in my dancing.
And your future looks like what?
I want to be an actress, and I want to live in New York City, maybe be on Broadway, but I like to sing and dance, and I like to act.
Go for it, sweetheart. I used to want to go. I used to have this best friend growing up. Seriously. We did everything together. And she took drama classes in Manhattan. I lived in New York. I lived in Queens, and she took drama classes in Manhattan. And every Saturday back then, I'm 66 years old, and she's a year older than I am. And so we were like, I don't know, maybe we were 12, 13, something like that. And she lived around the block. And every Saturday she would go into Manhattan to this drama school. And I wanted to go. Don't ask me why I didn't. But for some ridiculous reason, I did not go, because I could have gone. And I said, I always wanted to go, but I don't think I had that. I don't think I realized how important the moment is, this moment is. I'm thinking I'll have next week, and I'm thinking I'll have the week after, but this moment is so important, and I didn't do it. And I could have been one great actress. I'm a great actress now, but I could have been really great. So go for it. Do anything you can and just go.
No, Marilyn.
Yeah.
I think something that they've learned through Girls Geared for Greatness is really how to diversify themselves. Hannah has goals for theater and acting and singing and those kinds of things, but she's also learning just other skills that make her the person that she is and who she's going to become. And I see that in all the girls and the conversations that we're having, and really building them up to know that, you know, they can be proud of who they are, and they may not look like the person next to them. And they may not do the same thing, but if we can just keep empowering them to be the person that they're created to be, that's really the goal that we have.
That's it. That's all. That's it. That's it. And the fact that you're bringing other friends and you're an advocate for womanhood, I got a lot to learn from you. Seriously. And I've raised some good women, but your mom's raising a really good woman. And your mom knows one of my, you know, my daughter. And I mean, I've raised, you know, strong women. So, and we need you. We need you to keep holding us up.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Chasta, do you have anything to add to that?
You know, I think everything that they said is so true. And it's amazing to see even just the short-term results of the programming that we've had thus far. You know, what we've been able to accomplish in 2 short years with zero funding, $0 in, $0 out. And this, you know, this whole concept is built on just women helping women, whether it's the youth or adults. Our guest speakers volunteer and donate their time. The programming is free and accessible. And, you know, that is one of the most exciting pieces, is that it's just there. And, you know, the reason that it's named Girls Geared for Greatness is because, like you were saying, intrinsically, we all have this opportunity to achieve greatness. It just sometimes takes that nudge or that little reminder of that you are great, that you can achieve and that you can accomplish these things. And I'm excited for the legacy of the program to continue to grow and develop.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to, and I would love to see more young, you know, women like you, Hannah, come on and talk. That'd be great. That would be a really cool thing. And also I'd like to hear you sing and dance. You know, it's all good. So, Jamie, so you're very much a part of her program and very involved, and it takes that from a parent.
Yes, absolutely. I've always been, well, my history is student ministry. I was a student minister for over 20 years. And so that age group is, I'm very passionate about working with that age group. And, you know, in this time period, we're really trying to figure out how students that are so isolated and how they can make connections and keep growing. And so I got to help with the program this summer a lot I specifically worked with the high school group, and we did mentoring workshops, and each week we discussed different topics like leadership skills, emotional intelligence. You know, we listened to people's stories about, you know, what would they tell their 18-year-old self with the things that they know now? How did they get to the place that they are? And so just sharing stories, I feel like that is one of the greatest things that we can do with this nonprofit.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the greatest thing we can do with a lot of things, is to share stories. That's where we find our humanity and we connect.
That's right.
So can't do much better than that. So don't go anywhere, but I want to talk to Will and his mom, Jamie. So of course you're not part of the Girls Geared for Greatness. You're gearing for greatness in New York, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Will. So I have a friend who's in the chat, whose son is a dancer. He's been on a boat as an actor and a dancer, and he's been, I think, off Broadway or on Broadway. I can't remember. But was, you know, when I heard that you were coming on, I wrote her so she would come and listen, because she is all about him and his performance and his and how he succeeds. And I can tell your mom is all about that as well, right?
Mm-hmm, for sure.
For sure,
Yes.
right? So you're crazy?
I'm not crazy, but crazy about Will.
Crazy about
our
Will.
kids.
Yeah. So Will, tell us about what's going on for you.
Um, I just want to say, like, I say this consistently. I say this so often about Chasta. She is the reason I am where I am today. She inspired me throughout my childhood. Um, I grew up going to her studio. Um, I was never a natural dancer or a natural singer or a natural actor. They were all acquired skills, and Chasta literally helped me with every single one of them. She introduced me to musical theater in the first place. She was doing A Christmas Carol at the time, and she said, "You should come join." And it just went from there. And my dancing experience with Chasta helped me book Matilda, because I wouldn't have booked it without Chasta and helping me with my dance. And
Wait. You said book Matilda?
yeah, I booked Matilda because of Chasta, because
What
of
do you
my
mean by
dancing.
book Matilda? Because I'm a Southern girl now.
Oh yeah. I booked the national tour. Like, I got onto the national tour of Matilda. Yeah. It's a Broadway show. And she just helped jumpstart my career. I mean, I just, it's a consistent thing that I say constantly.
I'm really glad you when I asked you about you really spoke about her, and I apologize because I went with Jamie and Jamie to talk about Chasta. I didn't ask you what you felt, and I didn't ask Hannah what she felt. And I'm really delighted that you went in the direction you went into. So thank you for that, Hannah. I'm coming back to you. But that's really great. Thank you for sharing what you did. So tell us a little about your journey in Manhattan. Like, what's it been like?
I mean, it's just so much fun. There's no place like New York. My mom says that all the time. You could be
One
walking
more
down the
question.
street.
Hold on. Did you move to New York for him?
We did.
We
Yeah.
did, yes, we did. We actually moved. We had planned to just move here for like a short period of time. We actually initially moved from the Raleigh area. We went on a national tour. We got to live in Toronto for 6 months, and we traveled around the country in the United States as well. And then when we went back to Raleigh, Will auditioned for A Bronx Tale, the musical, Robert De Niro and Chaz Palminteri. And he booked that show, and we planned to just move here for 6 months. And here we are almost 3.5 years later, still living in New York City. So it's been quite an adventure, and one that certainly Chasta helped us to go on, just for support and encouragement to just go for it, live our dreams, and just do it. And it has been quite the journey. So it's been wonderful.
Now, do you have other children, Jamie?
Nope, I just have Will.
Okay.
But like, I was working full time actually in the Raleigh area, Raleigh-Durham area. I'm a registered nurse when we actually did this. So it was a huge move, and one that, like, somebody like 40 years old, probably I would have never considered it. I was actually super comfortable living in the Raleigh-Durham area. Like, we had a home, I had all my friend base around me. Change is very, very difficult. So it's something I never ever would have considered. And then we did it, and I realized that, like, it's okay. Everywhere you go, you meet new people, new experiences. It's just really taught me a lot about life and sort of like living in the moment, and really doing what you like sometimes are scared to do, but just go for it and it will work out, and it'll just give you such great life experiences. So yeah, so here we are, still living in Manhattan.
And you're doing it with, for your son, and Jamie,
Yes.
Alan, you're doing it for your daughter. I mean, what else is there really when you think about it?
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, Will actually got accepted to a performing arts school up here, so that's kind of why we're still here. He loves his school. Like, he's currently in grade 8, but of course he's doing it remote this year. But still, just such a great opportunity, and we're just really enjoying it.
So you're working and going to school, Will?
Well, right now I've just been doing so many self-tapes for projects, meaning like I've been auditioning remotely, which is not the best, but we've made do. And yeah, I'm doing school as well. I would much rather be in person, but since COVID's happened, I don't really have that opportunity anymore. And yeah, I mean, I've just adapted to this kind of lifestyle of quarantine, and it's actually been a lot better. New York is starting to come back to life. I've seen, like, during the pandemic, it was a little bit disheartening to see the streets empty. New York was empty. I mean, it's just to hear that Broadway was closed. It was really, really kind of crushing to me. But now you could just tell everyone's coming back to life. There's people out constantly. Of course, we're wearing masks, but people are just happier now.
Right. And how old are you, Will?
I'm 13, turning 14 in a week.
So Hannah and Will, because of the experiences that you've had, have you matured further along than, your peers? Or is it, what is it? I mean, the leadership, yes, but what has helped you be so together?
For me, I've matured so much. And I would say I'm a little bit more mature in, I guess, the way my mind works, because I was kind of exposed to like an adult workplace when I was at a Bronxdale, and I learned social skills throughout my experience on Broadway. And yeah, I would say I'm a little bit more together than a lot of my peers. And I'm really thankful for that, because it helps me in school. It helps me do auditions. It helps me memorize my lines. And yeah, I was a little bit immature before I started doing all this. And I think I've gained a lot of maturity and experience.
I think you have too, and I don't know you from before, but just from what I can tell, I mean, at which 14? You said 14?
Yeah.
Hannah, you're smiling.
Um,
Smiling always tells me something.
I have, I would say that I have matured, and maybe that's just from growing up, but from doing the Girls Geared for Greatness stuff and just kind of being able to have that safe space to have communications or like conversations with the people around us and be judgment free has always helped me experience or just see the positivity in things instead of always seeing the negative, which I think is really important when you want to have more mature conversations or more adult conversations, which comes around pretty often. And I just think yes, I have matured in the way with speaking, and also just with confidence. I have had way more self-confidence now after being able to talk with people. And yes, it's
Jamie, so you have how many children involved? Just one, or do you have multiple children involved in the studio?
All three.
And all three girls?
No, two girls. Avery is 15. Hannah is 12. And then Max, my little boy, he's 7.
And he's involved. They're all involved.
Mm-hmm. And Sean and I both have taken classes also.
You're a dancing family.
That's right. There's a lot of, I would say, drama in my house. Sometimes good, sometimes not so good.
Well, but it's, I mean, it's safe. I mean, you got to keep yourselves all together. I mean, you got to keep yourselves, time management is important. I mean, you got to keep it together. If you got a dream, I mean, you want that dream to happen, you got to keep it together.
Yep.
So, and so so my friend on, who's on the chat has just written something. So let me see what she just wrote. I suppose my son, the entire length of his, I supported my son the entire length of his career, including now due to COVID. It's a very tough and competitive career choice. It has its ups and its downs. Most important is to always be there for them and assure them the emotional support, and mental health support is available, assuming they build friendships along the way, as it is a very isolating career. So I know that her son has been, in Manhattan. He's done the boat thing, and now, of course, it's kind of quiet.
Mm-hmm. I can certainly speak to that. Being a mom of a performer, that it is very challenging career choice, and even for Will as a child, I've questioned myself a million times, like, how did we get into this? Why are we doing this? I've actually questioned that. But Will truly loves to perform. It's what he loves to do. And he has taken the good, the bad, and the ugly along the way. Trust me. It's not just like you think it's just all fun and games for kids, people that are actually getting involved into this profession. It's just as difficult on the children as it is on the adults, especially for boys in particular. I don't know if a lot of people like realize this, but for Will, like, a growing child in showbiz. So like, he came up here, he was on a Matilda national tour, and then he was in A Bronx Tale living like this incredible dream. Then he was like cast in Harry Potter and the Cursed Child on Broadway, which was amazing. And then he took a huge growth spurt. So his contract ended before it was due to end because his voice actually changed. He grew like multiple inches. But so like all of that is also, it's interesting to see how all that plays out, and the pain that your own child experiences and that you have to watch experience, but to support them through all of that. And then of course, Will was lucky enough, because a lot of it's just luck and lots of hard work, but he actually booked another Broadway show, Ferryman on Broadway. And so he got to have that incredible experience. And now as we go through COVID and through his teenage years, it's very difficult. Like, a lot of teenagers don't book a lot during this period of time. So to go from like having like so many incredible experiences to like knowing that it's going to be like a more quiet time, that's difficult for kids too. So it's like learning how I feel like he's already learned at such a young age to take so many heartbreaks. And like, I always tell him that it is a part of life, that like we all go through ups and downs. It's hard like to watch your child go through that though, but I think it's actually great life lessons too, and it's making him who he is. He's very empathetic. He can understand what other people has gone through, and it's just given him a different outlook on life. So,
yeah. Well, it's important to have that family, that mother, father,
for sure,
structure, so that you can explain those ups and downs a little bit. That there's going to be, ups at the end of the downs, and then there's going to be downs at the end of some of the ups. And they're not alone. So, Chasta, when you look at these, this man and this woman, and these families, what are you thinking?
Well, right now I am just thinking, and, as we sort of rebranded ourselves in 2015-16, the focus was to get back to the value of the humanistic experience through the vehicle of the performing arts. And I think the power in that is that we teach adaptability, we teach resilience, we use this vehicle of the arts, which is so powerful and so necessary to society, to inspire, the leaders of tomorrow to understand that the hills and valleys are going to exist, that anything worthwhile is going to require so much hard work and tears and hustle, and that it's not always going to be easy. And I think especially the last 6 months, we've all seen that in different ways in whatever lives we choose to lead. And it's in a weird way, everything that we started putting in place has affirmed itself kind of during this pandemic, of the value and the importance of the performing arts as they impact our youth, and how we can use those lessons to really propel and inspire them into their future. And I mean, I'm so proud of our community, because Will and Hannah are amazing representatives, but we literally have hundreds of students that would show like this in an interview. And as I sit here and watch them, I'm just, so inspired, because this is what we want, right? Like, we want this level of leadership for the future. And that's what we're set out to cultivate and create at Stage Door Dance.
So I have a really important question I want to ask you. But before we do, I just want to remind anybody who's listening, I got so into this conversation, I forgot to say it again. Anybody who wants to call in can, 919-518-9773, or you can join us in our chat. Write your name, nickname, whatever you like under our window there, and you can come in. And Stacy, my friend, wrote again, and I'm going to read what she said. But before I go to the next question, Amnon, do you have that little video there? Okay. All right. Well, maybe he'll There it is. Okay, October 9th, well, 8th and 9th, but 9th is an opioid summit that I am facilitating it's a virtual summit. It's full, excuse me, of speakers and workshops and vendors and all kinds of information. And it's called the People's Opioid Summit. So it is for everyday people who are impacted on a daily basis with opioid addiction. They are the mothers, the fathers, the sisters, the brothers. It could be the therapist who has not made it their life career, but need to know. It's the teacher who could be touching a student or a family member, and they need to know. So it's an online event. The kickoff is going to be an art expression. On the 8th, it's going to be a celebration of recovery. And on the 9th will be the actual summit. You can find out more about it at peoplesopioidsummit.com. And we have continuing ed too for anybody. So this is around the country. Anybody can come. So 6.75 credit hours from the Addiction Board, and anybody anywhere is welcome to join us. It's virtual. Thanks, Amnon. So, Chasta, every day, what is your dream? I mean, I know these Will and Hannah are, they're exhibiting leadership, they're exhibiting creativity. When you started out or where you are now, was it to have one of your students on Broadway? What was it?
So I think, the truest thing that I can say is that the performing arts really helped me navigate a lot of childhood trauma. And I feel like when you experience childhood trauma,
Your childhood trauma.
My childhood trauma, yeah, losing both of my parents in my childhood. And dance was kind of the one steadfast through that. And the performing arts just gave me such power in navigating that and, using those hardships to rise instead of fall. And the power of how that impacted my upbringing is what I wanted to bring into my studio and to instill in these students. That, of course, yes, I want students to be on Broadway, but whatever students choose to do, I want them to have that connection to humanity that allowed me to get to where I am today, so that they can use that to get to wherever they want to go, whether that's the stage or, a surgical room, anything that they can imagine. I want the skills of dance and the performing arts to enable them to get there.
And so how does it do that? How does dance do that?
Yeah, it's really amazing. And a lot of people undervalue the power of what it can do. Because here's the thing, Marilyn, it doesn't really matter if you can do a perfect triple pirouette or not. And that's one of the misconceptions, is that you have to have perfect technique to become a perfect dancer. And the only thing that's holding us back is this, preconceived notion of what a perfect dancer is. To me, a perfect dancer is the person that's, willing to fall down 7 times and stand up on the 8th time and to try it again. And it's that person that walks out onto the stage and does a solo for the first time. And maybe it's not perfect, but they learn from it and they go out on that stage and they perform the solo again. And, it's the person that has learned through their experience that, wow, I can actually do this. And they look at the person next to them that's struggling and they give them a little encouraging, like, hey, you can do this. It was really hard for me once too. So it's these life skills that just expand so far beyond the steps. And I think a lot of times we lose sight of that in all of our extracurricular activities. Like, what can we use these extracurriculars to teach at a much higher level that's going to have lasting implications way beyond the extracurricular? And, maybe when I was young and dreamed of owning a dance studio and even had 5 imaginary dance studios in my childhood, I didn't necessarily know that was the goal. But after doing this for 12 years, I'm incredibly confident that that is the goal. And, as it continues to grow, I hope that more will follow and kind of see the power in that.
Well, sweetheart, you are one bright woman, I will tell you. One bright, and you're, compared to me, you're young. And again, brilliant. Just really so brilliant. And you wrote a book, right?
I did. I actually have a copy sitting right
here.
here.
Good. Tell us.
Trash the Trophies. It's called How to Win Without Losing Your Soul. And, it was a passion project because I told a woman a few years ago that we had taken our studio out of the competitive dance industry. And she looked at me with tears in her eyes and said that there was no way that she could ever do that without losing her entire business. And, that sat with me. And I was like, what if I could put this all in a book that could maybe help people? And so it's set to the backdrop of dance, but the book is truly about transformative personal and professional leadership. And it's been really exciting. People have bought it in so many different countries, and it was a #1 Amazon bestseller. And it's just surreal and humbling to have your story out there to the world.
Absolutely. Yes, I was talking to somebody the other day about my books, and it doesn't matter to me. Well, it does eventually could matter that I'm on the New York Times bestseller list, but in the day by day for me right now, doing the list wouldn't matter in what it's done for me and my confidence, my self-esteem, my self-expression. I mean, it's that I can't even comprehend right now. What I can comprehend is just doing it. That's it. Just doing it. So hold it up again and slowly. Don't take you. I'm going to teach you something. When you hold the book up, you got to give us a chance to look at it. It's a beautiful cover.
Thank you.
No, nobody's seeing it unless she's talking.
Oh, so here's the cover. It's Trash the Trophies, How to Win Without Losing Your Soul by Chasta Hamilton.
Very
And
nice.
I always say I'm not anti-competition, but I am pro meaningful and empowering experiences. And what we were finding is that the competitive dance industry in its current iteration is deregulated, incredibly expensive, and challenging to navigate, as well as detrimental to studio businesses and their mission. So that's why we kind of pivoted away from it, and the book details why. But I just, some people are so afraid to innovate and change because we become so stuck in what has always been done.
Won't find that here. Not at all. That's why I sometimes say to myself, I think I'm going to put hair on my chest because, oh, here I go again, something I don't even know about. I just find myself doing things I have no idea that I'm going to do or know anything about. And then I do them and then, oh, well, okay. So you learn, right? Like you said, Will, you didn't start off being a natural dancer or an actor or a singer, right? You had a passion, and that's enough, right? So good. So, okay, Amnon, you have my books. So I am writing a series of books, and now I get to say 4 are on Amazon. So in just one afternoon, listening to the hearts of men, interviewed a whole bunch of men about their emotional journey, awakening, how they see the world. Then it was twins, millennials, and recently, like last week, in just one afternoon, listening to the hearts of people impacted by opioid addiction, where I interviewed individuals both that were users, those in recovery, and family members. And it's really an amazing journey through these stories. And you really get an idea of who people are when you hear their stories and you listen into their soul. And then after I am done with my opioid summit in October, I will be working on the next one, which is in just one afternoon, listening to the hearts of Black fathers. So I know Hannah and Jamie, you're going to have to leave in just a moment, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is that time now? Is that the moment you've been
Maybe in about two or 3 minutes.
Okay. Tell me really quick, Jamie, why is your family into dance? Is it because of you?
We have always had a passion for the arts, and my girls, we love music, we love theater, we love dance. And when my girls were little, we started them in dance, and they just fell in love with it. And I really feel like the things that they could stop dancing today, and the things that they have learned and we have learned as a family will help give them a appreciation for all of the arts for the rest of their lives, that impact not only them, but us as an entire family.
Mhm. So you kind of did it together.
Yes.
Got it. Hannah, do you want to say anything before you leave?
Well, I wanted to say thank you for letting us come, and also thank you to Chasta for always being there as such a supportive role model and helping us to the girls in the studio and the girls in the Girls Geared for Greatness program mature and become leaders.
I will drink to that. Well, you've been an angel, both of you. Thank you so much for coming, and feel free if you want to bring a bunch of kids on, a bunch of women on, and a bunch of men that you danced with. It would be great. We can certainly talk more. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Jamie, so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, the other Jamie.
Yes.
Now, was it something you saw in Will, or was it something in you?
I mean, I always loved the performing arts, and in general, I felt like, you know, it offers you and it gives you so much insight into life in general and helps you become a better person. But Will started dancing just Stage Door Dance actually had like a little satellite program from Will's preschool. So after his preschool ended, he would come across and dance at Stage Door Dance. And so we didn't actually have any intention of signing like our boys, which is sort of getting, you know, locked into boy and girl roles. Like I didn't say, oh, when I had my little boy, he's going to dance, he's going to be a dancer. That was not my plan. You know, we actually are originally from Canada. So if we were going to have Will do anything, it would have probably been play hockey. If you look up gender norms in Canada, like a lot of boys play hockey. So thankfully, the program that Chasta had in place at the International Preschool of Raleigh had the kids come over after school and, you know, dance for 45 minutes. And Will actually loved it. And I'll never forget the very first time I saw him up on stage performing. He was shining as bright as a star, just as a little 3-year-old, just loved it. And ever since then, every time he's on the stage, he becomes alive. So it's always clear to me, anytime he's there, he just loves it. And he becomes just so happy, and you can just see how much it impacts his life, and it just makes him who he is.
Well, in his first performance, he was standing on the edge of the stage doing none of the moves, making silly faces at the audience.
Yes.
And they were laughing, clapping, hooping, hollering, and in that energy, you know, he thrives on audience energy. And you know, and that was just the start of it. But Jamie is selling herself a little short too, because where their paths kind of diverged was when they both auditioned for the musical, and then Will ended up booking it, and Jamie did not. So that's when Jamie decided to move into the more supportive role.
Yes. That's
let's go there, Jamie. Jamie,
yes.
Let's go there. Go ahead, give us a
Embarrassing.
little.
I love to sing too. Like I used to sing in a church choir, and, you know, I grew up like being musical, and just like a lot of us do. And so Will was his second year, actually. He did A Christmas Carol in Raleigh. And then the second year, Chasta like had heard me singing in the car, and, you know, just life in general. And she's like, you really should sign up. You know, I really think they like to have families involved. And I was like a little hesitant, and she said, sign up to audition. What do you have to lose? You would teach Will a lot about, you know, the courage it takes to audition. So I actually did sign up to audition, and I will never forget it for as long as I live. It was not a positive experience for me, but we do laugh about it to this day. The day came and I felt overwhelmingly nervous. I didn't want to do it. And Chasta encouraged me to like put one foot in front of the other. You can't back out. It's not going to teach Will very, very much about like, you know, actually following through. So I went. Chasta was actually the choreographer at the time, so she was in the room. So it was just a hysterical day. I actually went in there. I just could barely sing. My mouth became dry. I was nervous.
There was someone like who was singing like this beautiful song.
Yes,
like,
actually.
It sounded like an America's Got Talent contestant.
Yes, before I went in, there was like, you could hear everybody going in there, and they were extraordinary. So I can't even imagine like how, I always say this to this day, even bringing Will to auditions, I don't enjoy the process myself personally. It's extremely stressful. My heart just breaks for like, it could be like 200 people in a little small room, and they have to like listen to each other. Everybody that goes in to sing, they're all extraordinary. And so like that day in particular, I heard everyone before me and I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? So I went in and tried to do my best, and it didn't work out for me. My son got cast again and I was not on the cast list, which is totally fine. But it was definitely a life lesson, and one that we laugh about to this day, and, you know, just fun.
Well, you know, and unfortunately, we're almost out of time. It's amazing. And this was such a fun show, but there were so many elements here. You know, you have this beautiful woman, Chasta, who, you know, comes from trauma, starts a business, impacts the lives of many, and has just taken it all on and done remarkable. And you have, you know, families that are connected, that are in love with each other, that are there, that support each other. I mean, you know, I see it in my family, and I'm hoping other people can see it too, that, you know, we can be together and we can, you know, support each other. And you see, you know, young men and women who are 13 and 14 years old taking on the world. Now, if I get off this, not if, when I get off this thing today, Will and Hannah, you're out there in the ether. I mean, I have to take on the world. How can I not continue taking on the world? How can we each not continue taking on the world to give you a world, you know?
Yeah.
And doing it together, right? So let me ask you something, Will. In closing, if you have the mic, what would you say?
I just wanted to say, even when doing competition, it never mattered to Chasta about winning. You can ask anyone. It was never about that. It was always about the lesson that you got from it, and giving us the competition, giving us the confidence to even go up on the stage and perform. And just in closing and closing it out, there's always a stigma that it's not really natural for boys to dance. And I never really thought about that until a while ago when that host said, do you remember on the news thing? I posted this whole Instagram post about this girl. She called out Prince George, I think, the young boy, for taking ballet classes. And that's when I realized it's actually a thing. That it's really not a natural thing in life for boys to dance, you know. And I guess it means a lot to me that I grew up with such an amazing mentor, and that I never had to deal with that stigma because I was so passionate and that I loved it so much, and that she made it such an amazing experience for me. I really need to thank her for that.
Well, thank you for saying that, because ridding things of stigma is what I am eating, sleeping, and drinking now. I am working on ridding the world of the stigma of addiction as much as I can. So I really appreciate you bringing up that word, because that's a bad word.
It really
is not a good word. That is not a good word. And you are absolutely right. We have to look past the stigmas. We have to get under them, through them. We have to blow them up. So thank you for doing that. And Chasta, you got anything final?
You know, I encourage everybody in whatever work that they do to go all in and to think about the impact that they have, even when they're tired and even when it's not easy, and even when you don't always see it, because a lot of times, you know, this work is a life's work and you may not necessarily see it day to day, but then you have these moments like today where we get to stop and talk about it, and you see the impact and you see the influence. And I hope that everyone knows that in whatever they do, they also have that power.
We do. So with that, I want to thank you all so much for being here today. It has been an absolute delight, a pleasure. And I invite you to come back again and keep up, you know, with me and tell me what you're doing. And anytime you want to come out here and talk about something, Will, just look for me. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this.
My pleasure. I mean, we need, you know, to get rid of the stigmas. We need you to talk. We need, just like why do you think my first book was about men? because I wanted men to see that other men could have feelings, could be creative, could be stay-at-home dads, and it was okay. Could be this, could be that, could do this, could do that. That's what I wanted. And that's why I did it. So I appreciate what you're saying. So anytime, feel free. You get an idea and you got an aha, bring me the aha.
I will.
Okay.
I'll definitely contact you if I ever have an aha moment.
Anytime. It's a good subject to talk about. And Jamie, thank you so much for coming here with your son.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
My pleasure. And Chasta, we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and good luck with your book. And everybody, have a wonderful day. Thanks so much for being here. Bye. Thanks, Amnon.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.